Well, good morning, Greg Howes. Welcome to Morning Pulse. Good to have you on with me this morning. We'll spend a few minutes together digging into the Word of God, checking on our pulse, see what's happening with us, and check on the pulse of God to see what He has in His heart and mind for us today. And from time to time, we check on the pulse of the culture as well. So we are ready to go. Ready to go. I'm dealing with a little bit of a nagging cough, so hopefully that's not gonna flare up while we're on here. But if it does, please excuse me and have have mercy. Have mercy. I got my tea here. Tea with honey and lemon. Yeah. Okay. Delicious. Ah, we have coming up our new toy and coat drive at Cornerstone. So bring a new toy, a new coat. We give those away to the kids in the neighborhood. So check that out. Get engaged with that. Gift wrapping for all of that is on Tuesday, December the 19th. 1 week from today, from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Wrapping all the gifts. Keep that in mind, okay? It's going to be good. This Sunday, December the 17th, we have our Jesus is Lord Christmas production. That's in our 9:30 service. So come on out, bring somebody with you. We're going to have a good time on Sunday. And then the two holiday Sundays, December 24th, December 31st, we will be in the building and online, 9:30 a.m., both of those Sundays. New Year's Eve, we've got New Year's Eve Surge, Jefferson Jones and Joshua Timberlake for youth and young adults. Keep that in mind, 8:30 p.m. on New Year's. That is going to be good, yeah. All right. We are ready to go. Cornerstone people, we're reading the Bible. We're in the book of Revelation, so keep up with your Bible reading schedule, and let's read the Word of God together. All right. Clarity and certainty. It's a subject matter for today. And what I want to do is start digging into different parts of the Christmas story as we're approaching Christmas. So that's that's where we're headed. And so today I want to deal with clarity and certainty, beginning to dig into the Gospel of Luke. Now, Luke is the writer of Acts, the book of Acts, but also the Gospel of Luke. And in both of these, Luke is writing to a man named Theophilus. Theophilus was probably some type of important officer in the Roman government who had come to believe. And so Luke is writing to help Theophilus with his belief system, encouraging Theophilus to search out the truth of the Word of God. So in Acts chapter 1 and verse 1, Luke says, "The former account I made, O Theophilus, of all that Jesus began both to do and to teach." So Luke says, I'm going to begin to review what Jesus did and what Jesus taught. And I'm giving this to you in a former account. So now he's referring to his gospel, what we call the Gospel of Luke. Luke was reporting what Jesus did and what he taught. So now we go back to Luke chapter 1, verse 1, and Luke says, "Inasmuch as many have taken in hand to set in order a narrative of those things which have been fulfilled among us." Notice that he's setting in order a narrative. Setting in order a narrative of those things which have been fulfilled among us, just as those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word delivered them to us. And it seemed good to me also, having had perfect understanding of all things from the very first, to write to you an orderly account. An orderly account. Most excellent Theophilus. Now here's why. that you may know the certainty of those things in which you were instructed. Luke wants Theophilus to know the certainty of what he has received. So we bring that into our lives. And we are saying today that we must know the certainty of those things in which we have been instructed. And our children must know the certainty of these things. And our grandchildren must know the certainty of these things. This is how we get that continuity, that intergenerational movement of the truth of the Word of God from generation to generation. So Luke is going to help us with this. Luke, his gospel, is the longest book in the New Testament. He focuses on individual people more than any other gospel. Luke mentions 29 events in the life of Jesus that are not mentioned by any of the other gospel writers. He is an educated doctor, Luke the physician, and now he comes and he reveals the songs of Elizabeth, Mary, Zacharias, Simeon, and the hymn of the angels at the birth of Jesus. More than any of the other gospel writers, Luke gives us the thoughts and the feelings of these persons that are involved in these gospel stories. Luke, very important. So we're realizing some things about the Gospel of Luke. Now, we're seeing here that Luke wanted Theophilus to get some clarity, to have certainty about the things that he had been taught. He wanted Theophilus to grasp the full significance of who Jesus was and what Jesus had accomplished. You know, we hear many people saying today that the faith, what we say we believe in, it requires a leap in the dark, or it's an arbitrary decision to embrace something for which there doesn't seem to be any adequate reason or logic to believe that it is true. Or others just say we believe in something that is that is just utter foolishness. But Luke says, I want you to know the certainty of the things that you have been taught, that you may know the certainty. Here's what that means: the security or the safety or the stability of what you have been taught. It is the lockdown, secure, unshakable, solid, stable, immovable reality of what you've been taught. I love it. I love it. I love it. So when we look at our understanding of the Word of God, do we know the Word that's kind of like a floating cloud? It's just moving, it's drifting, it's blown around by the winds of doctrine? Or do we know the Word of God that is like a set, solid, stable, secure mountain? An immovable mountain. Is that our understanding of the Word of God? Well, I hope so. Our understanding should not be floating around like a cloud in the wind. Our understanding should be like a solid, stable mountain. That is the certainty of us knowing the Word of God, the Word of God. This kind of knowing, it is immovable in the face of disease in the face of being abandoned or rejected, in the face of disillusionment, in the face of grief that we experience in our human condition, even in the face of persecution. This certainty of the Word of God is immovable. Sickness may come and go, but we continue to believe the certainty of the Word. We may have people reject us, abandon us, leave us, but the Word does not change. We may be disillusioned. At times, we may be deceived by others. We may experience grief because of the loss of a loved one, the loss of a job, even persecution. None of that changes our belief system because we are certain that the Word of God is true. And we base everything about our existence on the foundational strength of the Word of God. So when Luke is writing here, we see that his story, his narrative, is based on thorough and careful research. He based his story on many reliable sources of information. It's based on the reports of eyewitnesses to what Jesus did and what Jesus taught. The apostles, the early disciples of Jesus. Luke was solid. He was solid in his story. He was solid in his narrative. And so today we are seeing that the one who is sent from God will always come with clarity and with certainty. It's so important for us to get. We must be clear and we must be certain about what we believe. It's how we live in the standard of the Word of God. We're certain of it. It is clear to us. There is no doubt. There is no question. There is no argument. We believe the written scriptures. We believe the Word of God. And we certainly believe the prophetic word that comes into our lives as well. If we believe the prophets, we shall prosper. That's what the word says. So we must be clear and we must be certain about these things that we have been taught, the things that have been shared with us, the things that we read in the scriptures. This is the foundation of who we are. This is the foundation of how we live our lives. Clarity and certainty about the Word of God. So, I want you to be clear. I want you to be certain about your knowledge of the Word of God. We're going to continue on with this tomorrow, and we're going to start digging into the story of John the Baptist in Luke chapter 1, the birth of John. And we'll see what God has for us. But in the meantime, I declare that everything you put your hands on is going to prosper. It's going to be successful. I'm believing with you today that you are going to have a great day, and everything you're doing in your life is moving towards continuity, long-lasting results, intergenerational impact from generation to generation to generation. Remember, we are building, we are cultivating continuity for the next 100 years. All right. God bless you so much. Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. I'll talk to you soon.